Good afternoon. What a great welcome. Thanks for showing up. I always know it's difficult to turn up for the very last or the last session every day. I was afraid there a few minutes ago that I was going to be talking to the wall, so thank you very much for turning up. Right, I'm here today to talk to you about Hostelworld, my experience with the Hostelworld, and more specifically about Hostelworld customers. So let's start with Hostelworld as a company. We've got 33,000 properties online, but the real core of that is about 14,000 hostels, and that does over 90% of our revenue. We do about 7 million bookings a year. That translates to about 7 million bookings, about 3 million customers. Total transaction value, that's the value we put into our hostels, is about 600 million, so just over $500 million in total transaction value. And we're listed on the London Stock Exchange since 2015, and we've currently got a market cap of somewhere closer to 400 million euros. But what's really key about this business is it's a tough business because we're a truly global business, but we're also operating a niche, all right? So there's a limited number of customers and a limited number of transactions we can put into the hostels, and there's a limited number of hostels available, and they're all over the world. Right? And the second piece that makes it tough is our average transaction value. Our average transaction value is about 10 euros per booking to us. Right? Now, any of you guys who are dealing with Google, you don't get a lot of customer acquisition for 10 euros a transaction. So we've got to be really smart about how we retain customers and how we bring them back to book with us. And ideally, we like customers that we don't have to pay Google or anybody else for. And currently today, about 60% of our bookings every year are free bookings. And I'm going to tell you what we've invested in to try and make that happen. Now, before we get there, I want to tell you a little bit about the product because it's a very exciting product. Hostels have changed. Hands up in the room who's ever stayed in a hostel. All right, not bad. Keep your hand up if you've stayed in a hostel in the last 5 years. Okay, so for those of you that have stayed in a hostel, you realize the industry has changed greatly, and you're right, it is a coming field. So whereas it was a lifestyle business for an ex-backpacker who had 20 rooms or 30 rooms, now we've got serious tens of millions of euros being invested into single properties. We have hostels in the world that have 1,000 beds. Big emphasis on food and beverage, state-of-the-art design, security, bars, some of them have swimming pools. It's a completely different product. And because we're the market leader in online bookings for hostels globally, it's our job, we see it as our mission to spread the word. And luckily, we've got a really good brand team. I'm not just saying that because we've got one of them in the audience. We've got a really good brand team, and we've spent a lot of money in the last 3 years to try and extend our reach and bring that message about how good hostels are to the world. And here's an example of a little bit of that. Okay, that's also to get you in the mood for dancing. It's at that time of the evening, yeah? So, we've got a pretty cool product, but we've also got pretty cool customers, right? When we look at our customers, it's a truly global business. They come from all over the world and they travel all over the world. Very well educated. Over 30% of them are third level students. In terms of age, over 90% of them are less than 35 years of age. 50% of them are aged between 18 and 24. So this is a really young, dynamic, what we call digital natives. And when it comes to being demanding customers, these guys are all about it. But the really thing that makes hostels different is the social experience. Every time you talk to a hostel customer, what are they looking for? They're looking for the opportunity to go and meet other people. So one of the statistics we like to talk about is the fact that 60% of our customers are solo travelers. And why are they traveling on their own? Not to be on their own, but because they want to get out there and meet the world, which is our brand promise. So back in 2015, we had Focusrite do a survey. And really we wanted to get some stats that we could share with the world on what makes a hostel customer different. So they did a survey of not just Hostelworld customers, but hostel customers in general, looked at the industry, and then compared it to your average traveller. And what do we find? Hostel travellers travel more, they travel longer, they spend more on travel, and it's their number one priority for their disposable income. These guys are really passionate about what they do. And the reason they're passionate is because they want to get out there and meet people, but they also collect experiences. And we had a definition, or a couple of definitions of what an experience is on the screen earlier today. These guys, for an experience for these guys, it's something they can share. It's something they can bring back, and it's got to have street cred, right? So it's all about, was it cheap? Was it exciting? Was it cool? Was it interesting? Does it look good on social media? They're the type of experiences they're looking for. So we decided we haven't got a lot of money we can give back in terms of loyalty points. It's a small transaction. So what can we give these customers that will engender that brand loyalty? And what we figured out was we can actually play within that experience. So we saw an opportunity to provide the specific experience that these guys were looking for. And that's all about diversity, and it's all about unique experiences wherever they go. So this is a pretty common theme for OTAs over the last number of years. It's not really unusual. Where OTAs have traditionally played well is within the booking space. If we think about it, it's a very small piece of the travel experience. OTAs want to get up into the inspiration phase, so when people start planning their trips and start figuring out where do they want to go and what's going to excite them, and they also want to go in-trip. We had made a lot of investment in mobile product. We've got really good mobile apps. So we saw an opportunity, because we had the mobile app, that we could really get in and play in that in-trip experience. We had some natural assets. We knew a lot about these customers before they went on their journey. We knew who they were, we knew where they were coming from, we knew where they were going, we knew the hostels that they were going to stay in. And we also knew where they were at any given time. And that's really important because that gives us context, right? So if we know where the customer is and what they're likely to be doing or what they're likely to be interested in doing at that particular time of day or at that particular time of their journey, then that gives us an opportunity to interact. What we didn't know, and we weren't scared to go out and ask, was what would they be interested in us sharing or creating for them? What types of content, what type of information would they be interested in us sourcing for them while they were in trip? So weather is obvious. A couple of days before you arrive, you want to know what the weather's going to be like when you get there so you know what to pack. But more importantly, places to go, things to see, places to eat. Very straightforward. So what can I do there? Isn't that Google? Isn't that TripAdvisor? Again, I got to go back to these guys, right? These hostel customers, the type of people that travel the world to go to meet people and want to collect experiences, do not go to Paris to see the Eiffel Tower. They do not go to London for Madame Tussauds. These guys want to find little bistros, little tours, free walking opportunities, local experiences. That's what they collect. That's what they share. That's what it's all about. So we had a fair idea that if we could find the right type of content, and it would have to be unique content, and again, let's remember, I thought it was really the entitled customer today, I thought was a really good expression. These guys want to be spoon-fed, but it's got to be spoon-fed with what they want. It can't be any of 250 cereals. It's got to be the cereal they're interested in, yeah? So we looked to try and find a partner who would be able to provide that content for us. And I've already mentioned Google, I mentioned TripAdvisor, there's loads of content out there. We looked far and wide, and we eventually found a company who were then trading under GoGoBot, and who have now rebranded themselves in the last 12 months as Trip.com. And these guys are excellent partners. And what they can do is, based on the type of demographics of the people that typically use our website and our mobile apps, they can provide them with exactly the type of content they're interested in terms of places to eat and things to do. So we also have a huge asset that nobody else really has access to. Now, it was a little bit harder to get at because the platform didn't exist, but we realized we've got a network of 14,000 hostels all over the world that understand the hostel customer better than anybody else. And they can provide all the interesting content and things to do, places to go around their hostel better than anybody else can. So we simply needed to provide them with the platform that they could put that in front of our customers. And lastly, weather. It's cosmetic, but it's important, right? It's just a hygiene factor. But 2 days before you head off on your trip now, we'll tell you what the weather's like around the locality of your hostel where you're going to stay. So last year, we launched My Trips from Hostelworld. As I mentioned, you get the weather 2 days in advance. But when you get there, things start getting interesting, right? So we will tell you, based on where you're at, what's the local restaurants, what are the little bistros, where to go and get a good coffee, is there a good free tour in the locality, what do people who are of your demographic, what do they want to do, and what have they left good reviews for? We also launched a product called Hostel Notice Board. Now, if you think about the old hostels in the old days, every hostel had a notice board. And the local hostel operator used to put up on that hostel notice board what's happening in the hostel. There's a musician coming in on Thursday night. There's a free beer for anybody who goes to the bar this evening. There's a tour going to the island tomorrow. We've actually digitized this. And this is where we've really leveraged our relationship with those hostel owners, with those operators, because now they can communicate what's happening in the hostel through our app directly to the customer before they arrive, so that the traveller can actually start planning what are they going to do and what are they going to experience when they get there. So a lot of that is very practical, very functional, and it has a lot of success. We've encountered a lot of success with it that I'll talk about in terms of statistics later. We also like to have a bit of fun, and we particularly like to have a bit of fun around the social space. So we built a capability within the app, which is called Speak the World. We partnered with Google. We actually do a lot of partnerships with Google Zoo, which is their technology wing. And we came up with this functional, but also quite amusing way that people who have met each other that don't speak the same language can actually converse using the translation capability with the app. And because we like to have a little bit of fun, we made it visually appealing as well. And then, very typical in terms of what our brand marketing type guys do, they sent out a comedian out to Indonesia to road test it. So this is how he got on.
Hi, I'm Phil Wang, comedian, globetrotter, and proud Aquarius. I'm out in Indonesia using the Hostelworld app's new Speak the World feature to see if humor travels as well as my hurt little butt. Who ate all the rice, am I right?
Maaf yang makan nasi di sebelah kanan saya.
Do you know any Hindi jokes?
क्या आप कोई हिंदी चुटकुले जानते हैं?
मैं आपकी अम्मी को जानता हूँ.
I know your mama.
How do you harvest rice?
Bagaimana Anda memanen padi?
Sabit.
Sickle.
Oh, wow. Please don't hurt me.
Tolong jangan sakiti aku.
Let's see how it handles a maniacal cackle.
Okay, so we really enjoy our customers. We like providing the experiences and we like to have some fun. Unfortunately, like everybody else in this room, we've got shareholders. So whenever we invest in technology, whenever we invest in new capabilities, we've got to go back and test them and make sure that we're actually achieving what we set out to achieve. So when we looked at My Trips and the type of content that they were making available to customers when they arrived into a hostel, we discovered that 56% of them actually took up one of our recommendations. And of those 56, 82% of them rated that the experience as being good or better than good, which we thought was amazing. And in particular, I think 56%, if you think about what we're actually trying to do here, right, we're trying to segment customers and provide them with local information. And I have to give Trip.com the credit for being that good at segmenting data. That was an amazing result. When we looked at Hostel Notice Board, 24% of the customers that we showed something on Hostel Notice Board actually went and took up and participated in one of the events that was being offered. And of that 24%, 92% of them said that it actually enhanced their experience and made their stay in the hostel more enjoyable and really added to it. Now, if we go back to the original objectives here, right? As I explained, we've got a small transaction value. We can't really go out and spend a huge amount of money. I think every year we spend too much money with Google, but we do spend a lot of money acquiring the customers that we do pay for. So for us to retain them and hold on to them is really important. We don't have the share of wallet that allows us to spend a lot of money on retention either. So what can we provide these guys with? And that's a unique, personalized experience. And that's everything about what we're doing in terms of these technology offerings and their content offerings. It's trying to offer our customers unique content and the opportunity for unique experiences that they can't find anywhere else and make that easy for them. And if we achieve that, then they've got a valid reason for coming back to our app and our website on a regular basis and giving us their business. We love awards. This is a small sample of we launched our 2 native apps, I think back in 2013. We started from fresh. We had really good apps, not native, but really good apps built on a titanium framework. It was good. My head of product, who's sitting in the room, came, beat me up and said, we've got to tear it all up, we've got to start again. We did. So we went out and hired 2 brand new teams, put an iOS team and an Android team together, and we've just had great success all the way through. Amongst other things, Android nominated our Android developers as the best 2% in the world. When we launched the native app originally on Apple, it got best new travel app across 26 different country or languages. I mean, we do this stuff all the time, and it's good. It keeps the team motivated and keeps us proud about what we do. Yeah. Back to the shareholders. Now, these statistics are probably pretty familiar to anybody who's in the travel space, but this is the direction that mobile is going in. So in 2016, 49% of all our bookings came in across mobile, and 30% of those were on our mobile apps between iOS and Android. And no surprises, we've beaten that easily this year. So during peak season this year, over 60% of our bookings on a daily basis were coming in from mobile. So key takeaways. I hope you all appreciate I kept this short. Customer is everything. Like, with all the technology, with all the assets we have, with everything else we have, you start with the customer. What does the customer actually want? And really understanding your customer. So knowing that regular fare, regular content wasn't good enough for hostel customers and they wanted a more segmented approach, and even within them, what you actually provide for them based on where they're staying, that's really important. So the customer is key, as always. In terms of partnerships, picking the right partner, and giving credit to your partner and giving them a boost and you know, working with them closely from your technology wing and your product wing in a company. That's really important, because if you help them, they'll help you. So that type of strong collaborative partnership within your technology partnerships and content partnerships is really key. And lastly, and we haven't heard a lot about it today, but execution is everything. Right, and one of the things that I consistently say is good enough is never good enough. Right? And I have a head of product, and I've got design teams, and I've got people working within our app and our mobile space that will never say that good enough is good enough. It's always got to be better than good. Right? And it's got to really, we push those barriers, and we also give them the opportunities to express themselves and to be that good. That's it from me. Any questions?
Questions? Hostels, it's the new hot accommodation.
I'll definitely be having a beer later if anybody wants to ask me a question, yeah?
Well, a quick question I'll have. I mean, I think everybody just assumes that your target audience tends to be right now millennials and Gen Z. But do you have older segments that are trying it now that maybe didn't before because of some of the changing?
It's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing. And there's definitely personas that we've used over the years are young again, Yvonne. You know, there are people that, you know, take on this adventurous lifestyle and go and travel later in life. There are business people that use it. However, the real, I mean, obviously, hostels will go to all OTAs, particularly during slack periods, to try and get customers. But I like to think that our trade brand is the customer that we actually send our partners. Because like if we think that a hostel, if we believe that a hostel is all about being social, then you need to have people within that hostel that are actually going to participate in being social, right? So if it's a business person who just takes it as an option because he couldn't find another room in London on a Friday night, and now he's found a room, and it's a private room, so it basically does what it says in the tin, but he's not really going to contribute in any way to, my boss always describes it as, you go down for breakfast. Let's imagine you went down for breakfast here this morning. You're sitting down having breakfast, and okay, it's a little bit different because it's a conference. But let's just say you were here staying on business. You're leaving in town, and I rocked in, sat down beside you, and said, "How's it going? What's going on? What are you doing later? Anything happened in the locality?" You'd kind of look at me and say, "Well, what's your man on? What's going on with him?" Right? In the hostel, that's what's expected to happen, and they're the type of people they want because you expect that type of interaction.
And then I was going to also just comment on your last statement about the technology's never good enough, it's got to always be better. Do you feel like there's more pressure on innovating and really pushing the edge with your technology because your customer base it's that segment that is early adopters, they're early adopters of technology, they're willing to try stuff. Are they easier on you because they know you're kind of being a first mover on some of these technologies? Or are they even more critical of it because it's so expected?
That's a really tough question, right? Because everything that makes sense in business is about compromise, right? You know, the business decisions you make, where you're going to spend your marketing money and all the rest of it, right? Building great technology it's a combination between good enough is never good enough, but it's also perfection is the enemy of progress. So you got to get product out the door. So you just got to keep that balance right between the quality and the speed of delivery, right? But the one thing, and I suppose where we really go with good enough is not good enough, or good enough is never good enough, is on design and usability. Because when it comes to design and usability, that's where these digital natives, I have 3 sons, 15, 18, and 21 years of age. Like, these guys were born with consoles in their hand. These guys don't use manuals. Like, you know, our generation, when you picked up a computer, you expected to have a book with it to tell you how to use it. This doesn't happen. It's got to be intuitive. It's got to work straight out of the box. It's just got to happen, yeah. Now, Camille is going to be in real trouble because somebody let a techie into the room, yeah? Didn't we know this was just a marketing conference?
No, not at all. All very good.
All right.
Very good stuff. Thanks,
Thank
John.
you.
Appreciate it.